What is going on, guys? Coming to you from the garage tonight. Gonna show you some of the gear that I've been working with to film these, to do these videos. Now, first things first, the stars, the knockoff GoPros from Wish.com. They both claim HD 1080p. I think we both know that's pretty optimistic. Yeah, and if you've watched the videos, you know what the quality of these cameras, what the quality of the cameras is. It's not great. It's pretty rough. So you know, that's one of the weaknesses that I'm gonna have to deal with. I mean, these things were like $20 cameras. I mean, what do you expect? You know, if you're going up against a $200 or $300 or $400, you know, GoPro, whatever, depending on the version you're getting. So this is the other camera I've been using, unsuccessfully of late. Little Zoom audio recorder. Actually, the quality of the video camera on this is pretty good. Only issue, you know, obviously it's not waterproof or anything like that, so you can't use it in that scenario. But the other thing that's a little weird about it is, turn it on real quick here. It's saying it's came up with 3 bars and then 2 bars of battery. Either there's something wrong with that battery meter, or there's something else wrong with the camera, because as soon as I would take it out and start, as soon as I would start rolling, or start writing, the camera would stop recording. So I'm not sure what's going on there. It does use just these 2 AA batteries, so maybe it's like it doesn't know the difference between different battery chemistries, and its battery meter doesn't work for alkaline versus, you know, this type of alkaline battery or whatever, and maybe it's a lot lower on battery life than it thinks it is. Or possibly, and I've seen this on a different motorcycle GPS unit, that they actually include an accessory for this particular unit where it gives you an additional spring module that holds the batteries in tighter. Because if the thing vibrates just a little bit and there's like a millisecond where the battery contacts open, well, then that's all it takes to turn off the device, because it's not gonna be able to coast through that, so it'll just shut it off. And anyway, moving on to the GoPro accessories. This was a separate purchase. This is not complete because obviously some of this stuff is stuck to, is already in use in other places. And the one thing that's missing from this right now is the chest mount that was also included in this. Don't have it here at the moment, but look at that. Ooh, lot fancy. That is so fancy. Wow. So, what can be said about this? Not a whole lot. Actually, this is a pretty good setup. I mean, it was, again, cheap Chinese knockoff stuff, but how can you go wrong with something like this? It's molded plastic. I mean, unless your mold is made to the wrong size, it's pretty hard to mess that up. So, really, this kit is pretty good. It has a lot of the accessories you need, and this particular setup here, this is for the camera that goes on the front fender, and let me show you exactly where that's going. So let me flip back around again here. So here is the little mount that's glued to the front fender, right here. And here's my problem with using this camera in this location, is the fact that the fender, or the fairing, I'm sorry, is so close to the front fender. There's not much of a gap. So if you're putting the camera like here, you've got that much suspension travel before those two are hitting each other. So what I did is I put it off to the side like this, and so I started, you know, trying to fiddle with the mounting point on it and get it down lower. Well, one of the problems that I had was that this little thumb screw right here was mounted right here. And so that adds at least another inch worth of height that's in a gap that doesn't have a lot of spare space. So anytime I'd hit a big enough bump, it would, of course, hit that and push it right down. Obviously, you're not seeing it right now because there we go. So push it down like that and knock it out of alignment like that. So hopefully, just the fact that I moved this little adjustment here, from this spot down to here, hopefully that does enough to take care of that particular situation. Now moving around, this is the camera that I had facing me. Now, of course, I was using that zoom camera with it for part of the time, but just a suction cup mount, and this also came in that accessory kit. Seems to have worked pretty well. I mean, this has been my biggest concern of this setup, is that thing would break loose. With just the suction would release and it would come off of there. So that's actually been a pleasant surprise for me that's held on as well as it has. And the VHB tape that for the other mount has done phenomenal as well. Right here, you would normally have a little piece of plastic covering this whole section here. I removed that thinking that I would actually try and access the handlebars, try and use the handlebars to mount one of the cameras. I ended up opting not to do that for right now. I'm going to have to remove these bits too, and these little plastic bits here as well, to be able to get all of the to be able to get enough access to the handlebars where you can actually mount stuff. And then all of your wiring and hydraulics are all showing out in the open. So not sure if I want to do that or not, or I'm trying to figure out some other ideas of where I can do it. But actually, I am fairly happy with the mounting locations. The one thing, and this goes back to those the cheap action cameras, and this is one of the problems with them, is the fact that they don't have a wide-angle lens on them. Their lens is terrible for this sort of stuff. So they're just way too tight. I mean, here I've got this bracket, which is, a good 3 feet away. Here's the seat, here's the camera. That's 2 to 3 feet away from where I'm sitting, from where my head is. That's 2.5, 3 feet. So should be far enough. If it was a GoPro, it would be far enough, because those have a lot wider lenses on them. So I think that's probably the weakest point, apart from the obvious terrible image quality of those cameras. That is one of the huge weaknesses of going with those budget cameras like that. They don't have the same glass on them. So I think that's, anyway, I'm learning as I'm going through all this stuff. And so I'm figuring it all out. And I'm someone who likes to, if I can do something on the cheap, I'll do it on the cheap. But if it's not going to work, it's not worth the trouble. And I think I'm running into a lot of that with trying to produce these videos. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'm glad you, hopefully that's some useful information to some of you out there. If you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe. And I'll be, we're going to keep at this. Let's see if we can make it all the way through October. Thanks for stopping by.